So Translation Day was celebrated on September 30th, and it's focused on the importance of language facilitators worldwide. Locally, there's a professional body, the Translators and Interpreters Association of Jamaica. This field is dynamic and very much rewarding, and we've got the president of the Translators and Interpreters Association, Karen Henry, who is going to tell us why this field is so interesting. Should I say buenos dias? Is that right?
Buenos dias.
All right. ¿Cómo estás?
Yo estoy muy bien, gracias.
All right, one again. No. But nice to have you.
Thank you for having me.
I didn't know that this field exists. How long have you guys been operating?
The organization, not the field.
The organization, yeah.
The association itself is about 30 years old, but it was dormant for more than 10 years. So we just revived it about 3 years ago. And so, it's gaining momentum and people are reconnecting, because one of the drawbacks with translation, especially in a country like Jamaica, is that everybody basically freelances, so they're all over the place and they don't get to see their colleagues that often. So that's one of the good things of having the association. We get to come together from time to time and we share ideas, share resources, we work on projects together and this sort of thing.
In terms of the languages, they're the usual suspects. You hear about Spanish a lot,
right,
perhaps even French. What other languages are people really right now practicing in Jamaica?
We have members who do German as well and Russian. What we don't have any members in the association who work from Chinese and Japanese, for example.
Which is surprising, because the trade between our country and the Far East is extensive, and everywhere you turn you see Chinese,
Japanese. You see, because those languages are only now being taught in Jamaica. Language Training Center, for example, has had a program in Japanese for a number of years. But in terms of reaching the level of a translator, that's a different thing. So people haven't really been gravitating towards translating in those areas up until now. But as you rightly say, trade is going to change that.
Right. So what's the demand now? What's the demand for the organization? Do you want more of what? Translators, interpreters in what area?
Well, first of all, we want greater awareness, because there are apparently a lot of people who don't know that we have these skills right here. And we get a little upset sometimes when you hear people going abroad to do X and Y to get their books translated, their songs translated. And I said, but what happened? We're sitting right here. And people just overlook the professionals who are here, and we're just as well trained and skilled as other persons, but because we don't know a lot of the times, they go and look elsewhere.
One of the interesting things that I think about readily is there's this whole talk about the expansion of the Panama Canal, and they habla español. So certainly there's going to be the need for interpreters along that whole process, that whole stretch.
Right.
Outside
We've actually been in dialogue with the Minister of Industry and Trade as well about that. And he pointed out the need for Mandarin as well when that project really opens up. So yes, we are in discussions with them about this and how the translators and interpreters would fit into that whole process.
How else do you guys get engaged and work on a regular basis? Certainly the tourism industry, when you say German, I immediately think that. Where else?
Most persons, as I said, in this environment freelance. So they have their regular contacts, their regular business, sources. And then some people do 2 or 3 jobs, right? I have been in the profession full-time, because I was at Language Training Center for 16 years as the head of translation, and then at the World Bank for the past 8 years as a staff translator. But the norm is for people to freelance and to do several things. So some will teach and translate, some will translate and interpret, some, very few will interpret exclusively. But it's hard to do that alone and live well. So you have to be careful. It's interesting though, because it's so varied, things that you have to do in translation. Some people think it's a conversation that you have when you go to interpret. Nothing could be further from the truth.
And especially when I think about specialized areas, because if you're interpreting for a doctor, there's actually medical language that if you said it to me in English,
precisely.
I'm almost sure there's ongoing training.
Which is why in our training, because you usually have to do postgrad training if you're serious about getting into the profession, we have to be exposed to law, to legal terminology, to medicine, to engineering, to all kinds of things. And at the bank in particular, we have to do finance, procurement, law, economic, tax, and so on and
I'm
so forth.
sitting here and I speak Spanish, and I can't translate
I
one of the
cannot
words.
have a conversation. I can read it very well and translate it on paper, but like the oral aspect of it,
As we wrap,
so good.
for translators out there in whatever language who want to reach out to you, tell me
They
how
can
do that.
email us at tiajamaica@gmail.com. That's the best way. We're also on Facebook, Translators and Interpreters Association of Jamaica. So those are two easy ways to find us.
Gracias.
De nada, muchísimas gracias.
En español.
En español,
Sí.
ahora siguiendo la presentación, vamos a hablar sobre la salud y cómo podemos dañar
All right,
nuestros
stop. All right, let me tell you now, English, what's going to happen. We've got health talk coming up. We're going to talk about that.
And
We're
Johnny
gonna look at
speaks
how
Spanish,
we
right,
harm our bodies every day. We're also going to hear about the first web-based collateral registry. We both want to know exactly what that is. It's called qcon.com. But up next, we've got Ladies View, and a man, a real man, is coming to join us on